Okay, our next interview is with Ann and David Bromer Booksellers. And I think the first question that I'd like to ask you guys is, tell us something about your background, where you come from, schools you attended, places you live, and what got you involved and interested in the book trade. Go.
I'm born in New York City, grew up in Miami Beach, came to school in Boston at MIT, got my degrees, all 3 degrees at MIT, went to work for people like Raytheon and Gillette, and I've been a collector all my life, and when I saw books, beautiful books, I got hooked. And it happened when Ann and I were invited up to Williams College to see the collection there. It was curated by Richard Archer, and it was a revelation. And I would say another 12 or 15 years after that, I quit science and became a full-time bookseller.
Ann?
Well, I grew up in Winthrop, Massachusetts, and went to Emerson College and then to Simmons School of Library Science. That's what they called it in those days. And I took the course in the history of the printed book, Richard Archer being our professor. And he gave us the opportunity with our spouses, our significant others, to come up and spend a weekend at Williams College and the Chapin Library. And he threw open the safe to us. He let us turn the pages together. I can remember it as if it were yesterday. David on one end of the double elephant Audubon folio and me on the other, turning page after page.
How romantic.
He let us have a hands-on experience, and that was the impetus for us to begin to sell books. I was working also in subsidized housing for many years, doing consultant work, and then in the mid-'70s, we really said to each other, this is what makes us happy, these books, and we want to do it together. And so I left my job first and developed the business, began to develop it in a full-time way. David joined me 2 years later, and in 1980, we took our shop in Copley Square, where we've been for 27 years, and we've never looked back. And we have had a great and wonderful life, traveling the world, meeting other booksellers, and it's been really the core of our marriage.
Really?
As well as the wonderful books that we've been able to buy and sell.
Tell me a little bit about some of the people who influenced you when you first got into the trade. Who are the people who you looked up to or who you wanted to talk to about what you were doing and had an influence on you?
There were 3 major people who influenced us. I mean, I just said to David, these are 3 you'd say. Walter Goldwater, who ran a shop in New York City with kind of radical literature, incunabular, not all the areas that we specialize in, but he had the philosophy about saying to us, he sort of took us under his wing and he said, you kids make the leap, you do it. He gave us a lot of encouragement and support. Sam Murray was a major influence on us from Wilbraham, Mass. I credit him with first showing me miniature books that were in a tool chest up high on a bookshelf. He put them down in front of me, and I was transfixed for 3 hours. And he introduced us to many kinds of books. And the third person I would say would be Colin Franklin from outside of Oxford, England, who taught us that you buy what you like, that you buy the finest condition you can, you stretch if you have to, but if you believe in the book, you do that. And these 3 people have been great mentors to us.
Yes.
You may want to add to that.
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I mean,
you were talking a moment ago about 27 years in the same location on Boylston Street. What kind of a staff do you maintain? Do you need a lot of people or a few people?
We have 3 staff people now, and I think it's been pretty much that way for the last 10 or 15 years. Phil Salmon is our manager. Kendra Slaughter is, I guess she's our web person, design person, an extraordinary young woman. And Jay Stantini is our cataloger, and he's very good at it.
How long have you had the staff together?
Phil has been with us 7 years, and I think he's going to be with us for the duration.
Yeah.
And Kendra came on 3 years ago. She will go on to great careers wherever she wants. I hope that she'll, if she ends up going for advanced degree in Boston, perhaps stay with us part-time. And Jay came on a couple of years ago and probably be with us for a while. But it seems like the right staffing, because David and I no longer, at our age, want to do the day-to-day work. We come and go into the business as needed, where, yes, we are the principals, we do the main major buying, and often the main major selling, although at this point Phil and Jay are picking up a lot of that, building their own strong customers. And so it gives us an opportunity. I've just written this book on miniature books.
Well, why don't you just hold it up?
Yes.
Not in front of your face,
no.
but between the two of you.
This is the first major book on the subject of miniature books, published by Harry Abrams in collaboration with the Gloria Club. It's a magnificent book. It's fully illustrated with close to 300 full-color illustrations. I'll just show you everything, actual size of the books. And the last 3 years I've devoted to writing this, obviously not in the business every day when I'm working on this. David is working on writing a bibliography of Aldus Huxley, and he can speak to that as well.
A long time occupation here. Started as a collector of Huxley after I had basically accumulated all of the things that would be in the A section of a bibliography. I started to think about where do I go, and I chose to start to compile what I hope will be the comprehensive bibliography of Aldus Huxley.
How long have you been at it?
Well, off and on for maybe 3 years. I'm hoping to finish it this year.
That'd be great.
No guarantees, but that's my hope.
You said a few moments ago about your web presence. What percentage, if you can think of it, of your business is conducted via the internet?
I don't know what percentage, but a lot.
A lot.
A lot. People are very web savvy, and we reconstituted our website a year ago with the help of Kendra on our staff, and we hired a professional web designer. And we linked to a lot of other places. We keep the site up. We are also on ABE and ILAB. And people who we never would have known in a million years have come. So I would say that there's a good amount of, I don't know what the percentages are.
But it's significant.
It's significant, yes.
And what about from the buying point of view? Do you guys do much buying on the internet? Or it's mostly a selling tool and an advertising tool?
Mostly selling.
Yes. Our buying is still done through the major auctions. And we have been very fortunate in the last few years to buy private collections. Obviously, we buy from other dealers. But what the web, the whole internet phenomenon, it has taken away the fun of going book hunting in shops.
What shops?
Yes. Well,
there are a few of us left.
Only a few.
I can tell you that every time we would go to a book auction up at what used to be Dick Oinanen's place and is now New England Book Auctions, Leaf Latimus, we would stay overnight at the hotel where the auction was, and The next.
Hold on for 1 second.
Can you say?
While you talk.
So we would go up to the New England Book Auction, and we would stay overnight in the hotel.
The Northampton Hotel.
Northampton Hotel. Get up in the morning, have breakfast, and we would go to the local bookshops. And it would be a fun day, and we would then drive home late in the day. And we did this recently, and I won't name the shop we went to. We went to one of the places we always go. We bought about 6 books. We came home, looked them up on the internet.
5 were wrong. The price was wrong.
Every single book, practically, 5 out of the 6 we bought above the prices that they were showing on the internet. And we said, heck, what? There's no more fun. That's not fun.
No.
So we'll never do that again. And that has, it's taken away a great pleasure. The pleasure of going out book hunting in the country, thinking you're going to find something wonderful.
Hoping.
And then you go home and you find 5 copies on the internet. And so I think that has put a damper for everybody. So what happens is that we are looking, as are other people, to really buy unique things. Very high-powered, that nobody can second-guess you. Inscribed copies, incredible bindings, whatever it is. It's close to nobody has them. One day, Lou Weinstein was saying the other day we should do a book, we should do a catalog saying, not on the web. Quote, that's the new catalog, We kind of did that kind of catalog earlier this year, called An Extraordinary Gathering of 50 books that nobody has.
Hold it up for a second so that we can get it on here.
You might open it up. This is a catalog in which we put away, for over the course of 2 years, 50 books that nobody would have seen on the internet. And the catalog did extraordinarily well. It came out at the time of the Boston Book Fair.
Beautiful piece of work.
But that's the kind of thing you have to do, but you can only do it once every 2 or 3 years. You really have to put a lot of capital away. This catalog was worth, close to $2 million. So you're putting away,
That's a lot of money to have tied up for 2 years without, doing anything about it.
Yeah.
Here we are at the New York Book Fair, and I would imagine that you people in the business that you're in rely a good deal on the book fairs as a source of stock and also as a source of meeting new customers and selling. What part do book fairs play in the Bromer's business?
Well, we do 2 or 3 a year. And I think they play.
All ABAA book fairs? Do you do any regionals?
No.
Do you attend regionals? For example, like the Boxborough Book Fair or the West Side Book Fair.
Used to. Have on occasion. Yeah. And we used to actually do Myriad, and because we're one of the founding members of Myriad. We haven't in the past few years. We might again. And this year, because I'm the featured speaker because of this book at the Seattle Book Fair, they have a featured speaker the night that the fair opens, which is not an ABAA-sponsored fair.
I understand. I'll be there to listen.
But a lot of ABAA people participate in it.
About a third of
We're exhibiting.
Yeah, and we're exhibiting. So that's the first time we're doing that fair. But generally, we stick to New York every year. Boston, we've been in from the beginning. And we used to do San Francisco and LA. Now we pretty much just do San Francisco. And I would say that there are years that the fairs are very significant.
When it's a good year, it's 30 to 35% of our...
Right.
Wow. That is a significant percentage when you think about it.
Well, the Boston Book Fair this year, I don't know, are you talking numbers in these interviews?
You're going to just...
we did $500,000 at
That's
the Boston
great.
Book Fair.
That's great.
Okay? And, this fair we won't. This fair will do probably about 100,000. But it's certainly worth doing, the big fairs, because it's where the customers come and you meet people and things happen between colleagues, happen between clients.
There's action.
There's action. Yeah. Things happen. New ideas come out. You're out there. So I think it's important to do fairs.
If you have a crystal ball in front of you and I were to ask you what you see for the future of the book trade, 25, 30, 40 years from now, will we have a trade? Will it be anything like we know it? Will it be something completely and totally different than what we're examining now? I'm just curious what you think.
That's a tough one. I think that some of the trends are that collectors are more and more going to auctions to buy books. I think that collectors are clearly becoming more web savvy, and hopefully for the slice of the business that people in the ABA do, that they'll understand the difference between a really fine copy and a so-so copy. I just think that there will be fewer open shops. I mean, already there's a lot fewer.
Fewer than fewer.
Yeah. I mean, Heritage is gone, in essence.
Yeah.
You know, will be gone in about a week.
Yeah.
And I think
What do you mean we'll be gone in about a week?
They've sold their building, and
They'll be gone.
They'll be
I
gone.
thought you said we will be gone.
No, they will be gone.
Yeah.
We will still be.
We're still there.
You're still there. You're not going anywhere.
And it's there isn't the kind of walk-in traffic that there used to be. When we moved into Copley Square, the walk-in paid for the first month's rent.
It's significantly less now?
Yes.
Significantly less.
Yes. Yes.
So it's not looking very good for us as booksellers going down the road, is
Well,
it?
I think you have to adapt.
Yeah.
It's changing.
Yes.
It's a different ball game. It's not as much fun, but there's still...
There's a lot of people at this show who want to hold books.
Yeah.
I don't think the internet will ever be the substitute to walk into a bookshop and hold books.
Physically.
How did we all get excited about books? We held
them.
books.
That's right.
Okay? So I think that all kinds of trends have rhythms. We're in a transition. It's a hard transition. We have to look very carefully about where we fit in, where we think we can move forward. For us, we have cut out the bottom, essentially, of inexpensive books.
A lot of people are telling me this.
Except in miniature books, because it happens to be an area that very few people have. Right. But by and large, because that's, whether you sell a $1,000, a $10,000 book as compared to a $100 book, it's the same kind of effort, and you might as well, sell the $1,000 to $10,000 book. I think that's what's happening, and I think that you have to take more risk, and be a little more savvy about it. But I think that we have seen that a catalog like this will do very well.
Absolutely.
But another kind of catalog that's just a nice, sweet list won't. So it has to make a kind of a statement. And there's marketing involved. We have to be much more savvy marketers than booksellers have ever been.
I agree 100% with that one.
And I think if we do that, we have 2 wonderful glossy magazines, one in England, one here in the States, to promote us. And I think you just got to do everything. You've got to try everything, and you've got to see what works for you. But I'm not hopeless about the future.
You're confident?
I see a lot of young people here. Yes, I see a lot of young booksellers that I don't even know, and that's the way of the world, isn't it?
Right. That's
We're
right.
kind of the old timers now.
Yeah, I hate to say that, but we are.
Yeah.
The gray bears, as it were.
No, I am hopeful. Yes, I am optimistic.
Great.
I am. It may be smaller and it may be different, but I think that rare books is here to stay, just as art is here to stay, and collectibles, and I think the glass is half full, not half empty.
Great. We've got a couple of minutes left. You spoke a moment ago about having a wonderful Boston Book Fair. Would you just tell people the association between your mom and the Boston Book Fair? I think it's something that everybody should know about.
Okay. Well, my mother, who died 1 year ago this April, her name was Florence Finn, and my mother married later in life a gentleman named Stanley Finn, who was a show promoter. And at the time that they were married, Boston ABAA, New England ABAA, decided they wanted to do an international book fair. And they were looking for the right person to promote them. And so Stan Finn made application, and he was selected. And they signed a 10-year contract with the Copley Plaza. And the first year, Stan promoted the fair with my mother acting as the incredible organizer she always was behind the scene. And a year after the first fair, Stan died very suddenly from pancreatic cancer. And the New England chapter asked my mom if she would like to continue with it. And she said yes, and she did for the next 9 years. My mom was old-fashioned enough to know that if a dealer traveled the long road across the ocean, the big ocean, on an airplane and came to this strange alien land, somehow the hospitality had to be doubly wonderful. And that's what she did. And she created this atmosphere, especially for dealers from overseas, giving them her apartment, doing so many things for them. And she became very beloved in the field. And she devoted her entire year to planning the fair. That was her real
great love of hers.
Great love of hers. And when she was ready to retire, when the contract of the Copley ran out, the English booksellers particularly wrote her a magnificent poem by Eric Horn, and gave her something like a 100-pound box of Godiva chocolates. And this was 20 years ago that my mother retired. And when my mother died last year, and it was posted on the ABAA website by Kenny Gloss's wife, Joyce Kosofsky, I want to say that I want to thank all my colleagues. There were 30, 40, 50 tributes. They came in for my mother, 20 years remembering it after. And the Boston Book Fair last year also paid tribute to her in the center of the program book with Eric's
poem was in that. It was a nice gesture.
Yes, yeah. She was very beloved, and she gave a lot to the booksellers. So tribute to my mom.
Do you remember what she would say at the end of the fair?
No, tell me.
She used to say, "The fair is over." O-V-A-H. Everybody I talked to says
with a split of champagne, wasn't it?
With a split of champagne, the fair is over. And I'll never. And most people, when you ask them what they remember about her, they'll say, "I remember she used to say, the fair is over." Just a typical Boston Winthrop accent.
That's right. That's right.
Well, great. It's been a great interview.
Thank
I
you.
really enjoyed seeing you guys and
Thank
talking
you.
to you. Thank you so much for coming by. Good luck with the book. Good luck with the
Thank
catalog.
you.
And
Thank
I'll
you
see
for
inside.
doing this, Michael. This is a wonderful thing to do.
I hope it keeps going.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
To you.
Thank you.